Starting. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Final Cut Pro Radio TV. We are live on YouTube. And today,
good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let me introduce everybody. We have Mr. Brad Olson from... Oops, I have to... Wait a minute. I got to turn that off.
The echo problem.
1 second. I have to turn off the YouTube, which is echoing in my headphones. There we go. So today we have Brad Olson from Off the Tracks documentary. We have from, let me turn that off a second. We have from Australia, Mr. Matt Goddard. We can't get Australians usually because they don't get up till like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. Right now it's 4 a.m. there. So, but Matt is in the United States. And Matt is coming to NAB this year.
I am. I mean, my first NAB.
That's excellent. I'm so glad you could make it. And then we have Mr. Ryan Wellborn, the maker of the awesome plugin. Tell us what it is, Ryan.
Oh, well, I have more than one, but most people use AddMotion.
AddMotion. What other ones do you have?
Schnorf is one. It's just kind of a funny, weird transition.
Great name.
I actually came up with the name first and then decided to make a plugin around the name. Because naming plugins is really hard. And then I have some 3D models, like an awesome iPhone, awesome iPad, and MacBook Pro that are just effects. You drop them in, puts your content in a phone.
Exactly.
And this will be my second NAB.
It will be.
Yes.
That's excellent. Excellent.
This is my 29th, I think.
Well, when you talk, wow, Bill Davis, you're going to see him everywhere at NAB. He's going to be, of course, Faster Together stage. He's going to be taken over there. What are you going to do there this year? But I know you're on one of the panels you're presenting, right?
I don't think so. We had a scheduling conflict. So here's the deal, right? I started going to NAB in my early radio days a long time ago just for radio, and then as it morphed into more video stuff. 1 year, I met this guy, Mike Horton, and we were talking because I flew over to LA when Final Cut Original Version 1 first came out to get a little group together, and I was at the very first LAFCPUG meeting. And we became friends, and so I've known Michael for all those years, and so I've always helped with the Super Meet. And over the course of time, that has evolved into something I really look forward to every year because I get to be the auctioneer for the Super Meet. So we have more than $100,000 worth of stuff. And if you've ever been to a Super Meet auction, you know it's just a massive amount of crazy fun. The way Mike runs it and the way Mike designs it, the crazier you are if your number is drawn, the more stuff he gives you. So it turns into this madhouse kind of party. And I just really look forward to that every year. So
can I text you my ticket numbers?
Yeah, but I can't do anything about that. But you're welcome to text them to me. But the problem is that's on Tuesday, always Tuesday night, and it requires a lot of setup and prep. So I think I'm going to have to bust out of the LumaForge area early on Tuesday. So we're trying to figure out exactly how much of what, but I'm going to be there a lot because we're doing a whole multicam thing backstage.
One thing, I'm having blinking electricity. We're very windy out here. If for some reason this goes dark, I'll be back up in about 10 minutes. I'll go on battery only just in case it goes dark.
Okay, Brad will moderate if you're gone. We're gonna toss the ball to him.
I don't think it'll stay on because I got the internet connection. I'm not sure. If it did, that would be fine.
Well, we shall see.
And I will try to drive Matt crazy since it's his first NAB. You know, the long timers will always haze the new guys a little bit.
Yeah. I'm expecting a little bit of hazing. Don't worry. I'm prepared. You need to go that way. Oh, no, it's that way.
No, just walk over to the MGM Grand. It's just a couple of blocks down. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, a couple of giant Las Vegas blocks.
Right.
They are giant. They're way disproportionate to what you're used to looking on a map.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember the first time I went to Vegas was, I think, 2010. I was there for a few days, and I was like, oh, we'll just go down that way. It looks like 5-10 minute walk. Half an hour later, we're like, why are we still not there?
Right. It's just the pure scale of those hotels. I mean, literally, if you come to the monorail and come to the back of something, let's take the MGM Grand and say, I want to go up to something at the front, right off the strip, right off Las Vegas Boulevard. You're literally in for a 10-minute walk through the casino. It's like,
the scale of them.
Buildings this big.
And they turn them around. They turn them over, like demolish, put them back, put a new one.
Right.
Demolish, new one goes
blow something up and build something new.
So we had some nice free plugins today. Industrial Revolution had six plugins, and so did Steve and Mark. Ripple Training they released like some 360 plugins today, right? I got an email from them, from both of them actually. So that was very nice.
The 360 ones are a nice little freebie. So,
Are you doing 360, Matt?
I haven't done any yet. I've got a couple of clients that are starting to kind of get into it now that the tools are native. I had one client that did some 360 stuff a couple of years ago with one of the original Samsung 360 cameras. And the hoops he had to jump through to get it into Final Cut just made it ludicrous. Needed an extra little stitching app to first get it in, and then you had to change the format of it to bring it in. So I think he put it away for a couple of years, and now he's looking into it again. So I'll probably get my hands on it later in the year.
So are you doing your fashion shows in 360? Is that what you're telling me?
So we did one in 2016, that fashion festival. They did some of the 360 stuff. Had some of the models walking down the runway with the 360 camera, so you could kind of see their view as they walk down. And Samsung had a whole booth there where you could put their goggles on with one of the Galaxy S phones. You could plug into it. But they did away with that, I think, the following year. And this year, Google was one of the sponsors, so they had a whole Pixel area instead. But hopefully we do a bit more 360 with it next year, because it's a fun kind of way of viewing the shows.
Oh, it absolutely is. So,
hello, Patrick.
oh, there we go.
Hello.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey. Hello, Patrick.
How's it going, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome.
So the last time Patrick was on, we had him on Final Cut Pro TV a couple weeks ago. I said you either got a raise or you finally realized that your eyesight was failing. Which one was it? Because he has glasses now.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of both, Richard. Maybe a little bit.
There you go. Well, I know you're working overtime right now, right?
Yeah, it's pretty busy over here. We've got a lot going on. Oh my gosh. Yeah, getting rentals in order, finishing up the lineup, all this other stuff for Faster Together. We're getting the workflow suite prepped. But I think things are turning out pretty well. We're really excited. Yeah, so that's kind of where we are. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. You know everybody, right? You know this guy,
Well, let's
Brad?
see. There's Brad, Matt, Ryan, the back of somebody's head. Is that
The back of someone's
William?
head?
What, did something happen to my camera?
Oh, it's still there.
No,
Man.
Maybe you have to know something
That was a
happened to you.
burn.
I'm frozen on my side, so I thought something weird happened with the camera.
Yeah, I see
You're a little
frozen,
bit
though.
frozen, Bill. Yeah.
Yeah,
We are dependent on internet connections, that's for sure.
we are.
How harsh
I'm
for
never-
Patrick.
I think Patrick sucked up all the bandwidth and killed my feed. I'm blaming
I'm
you,
sorry.
dude. Let me pile out of this and reconnect and see if it does better that way.
Okay.
Go.
So we were just talking. So Patrick, normally I can't have Matt or anybody else from Australia on because it's like they don't get up till like 9 or 10 in the morning, and it's only 4 a.m. there. But Matt's in the U.S.
Yeah, I'm currently up in the mountains in Estes Park in Colorado, so
Yes.
right in the middle of Central Time.
Oh, that's excellent.
Man.
It's beautiful.
There's
up there.
There we go. We refreshed the connections.
Hey,
There
there.
you go.
How's the altitude for you?
Well, Denver. No, it's not Denver, but it's Estes Park is higher than any point in Australia. So our highest mountain in Australia is still like 1,000 feet shorter than Estes Park. So the altitude for the first couple of days was a little bit iffy. Like every time I stood up from the couch or got out of bed, I was like, well, I'll just take a couple of minutes. So
yeah, they call Denver's nickname is the Mile High City.
Yeah.
So anything close to that, you're in the Rocky Mountains, and that's up there.
Yeah, it's pretty high up here. I think we're at 7,500 feet, I think, or a little bit higher. So yeah, it's pretty high.
So everybody, we were just joined by Tony Gallardo. Tony, do you know everybody here? Bill Davis,
Tony.
Brad Olson,
yeah.
Hello. I believe so.
Matt Goddard from Australia. He's the guy with the funny accent.
I was wondering.
A bit of a giveaway, huh?
I know you know Patrick Southern, and I know you know Ryan, right? You guys are buds.
Of course. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
What's going on, gentlemen?
Oh, not too much. So we're going to talk about NAB. Who wants to start?
It stands for the National Association of Broadcasters.
All right, Bill, give your top tip for NAB. Not 10, just like 1 or 2.
Okay, more shoes. Shoes and socks. Actually, yeah, Michael Horton reminded me that socks are as important as shoes. The one thing that people aren't used to when they go to NAB for the very first time is the amount of sheer distance you walk. You walk amazing amounts of distance. The second tip, which I think is equally important, is if you're coming and you have an agenda of things you want to see on the show floor, definitely get the NAB app, download it to your phone, and sometime before you hit the show floor, map out where you're going, because the sheer number of displays and booths will shut your brain down. And you will think, okay, let's pick something random. I'm at Sony, which is over here, and I need to get to Tektronix because I want to see a scope there. And you don't realize that's a 14-minute walk through incredibly crowded, incredibly visually distracting mess. And if you try to bounce back and forth, you will see a third of what you probably can get done if you map it and make sense out of it. Those are my 2 big tips.
All right, so we got a question from Alex Gallner in the chat. He says, question for Tony G. Will Blackmagic Design go after the Adobe Premiere After Effects combination with Resolve Fusion? What do you think?
Man, that would be awesome. I would hope so. I do not know, but what they've done with Resolve for the past couple of years to what they've done now, they've really refined it and brought it up to a great editing platform, obviously a great coloring platform. So Fusion, they've had it for a couple of years now. I believe last year was the first year that it really was fully supported on Mac. So we'll see. I have my fingers crossed, but it's pretty clear what they're doing with the Fairlight audio page and how they're just kind of adding all these great features to where you have a nice, robust system. So
do you actually edit with Resolve at this point?
Sometimes, Final Cut 10 is my main and my first choice, but I do a couple of small projects here and there on it. And, I definitely do not like being in tracks at all. I hate tracks, but if I had to choose one, it would be Resolve. It's pretty much the closest. It's like a hybrid between, classic FCPX or classic Final Cut and FCP 10. So it's pretty interesting.
I don't know if it was Sam or somebody else thought that really that Blackmagic is really going after Adobe's space.
What's that?
There was an opinion expressed on one of these shows, I think, and somebody was saying that they think that Resolve is really going after the Adobe space. That
was Sam Messman from LumaForge. I think that's exactly what he said. He said it's not competing with Final Cut Pro 10. Do you really?
After the Avid space.
Why do you think that?
I think Blackmagic is positioning themselves with their suite of tools that you can finish at a high level. I think they're looking at the high-end Hollywood space and saying that we're going to be there if Avid falls.
Right, with the project sharing and bin locking, they're definitely going after. They're probably going after a little bit of both. Why not?
I just think they want to dominate. I mean, Dan Mann, those guys, and Grant, they're after global domination in the most benign way possible.
and they're extremely aggressive. If you look at their software development, it's just amazing at how fast and how quickly they can assimilate new features, and even like the Fairlight, they just brought it in right away. So that's pretty powerful.
Plus hardware and software you know, and not the broadcasters now, because they're still very important, but they're less in ascendance. But that idea of you can drive hardware and produce it inexpensively and distribute it globally, that's no small capability. That's a very big capability. And those big players who want to come in and outfit a TV station or some large viral video facility, you know, like these new kind of sort of news media outlets that are coming up on the internet, I think they see a play there.
Well, you're absolutely correct, Brad. One of the things that Resolve has done is they're already in high-end studios with the color aspect of Resolve. So they're already there in a lot of them. So now you're right. They just start sneaking in the editor, start sneaking in Fairlight, and then they're there. That's a good point.
And it's free. I mean, you can just try it out. So it'll be interesting to see what the next generation of folks, you know, just because anybody can try it out. So you never know what the arena may look like later on.
So Ryan Vellon in the chat says, is Resolve ready for large-scale production or is it just small one-man band projects like reality TV, he said?
You know, I'm not sure myself. I haven't done the collaboration features. I've seen them. I've seen people using it, and it looks pretty powerful. But I personally haven't done any like battle testing to see how.
I think that's a Patrick question.
Yeah, we've done a good bit of testing with collaboration. The bins are interesting in terms of they do kind of like hierarchical bin collaboration. So it's not just you know, in Avid it's the bin at the end of the chain is the one that you get to lock, whereas in Resolve it can either be the bin at the top or one of the bins in the middle or the bin at the very end, depending on what level you're at. I thought that's pretty interesting. Clip level locking when you're color grading is great. Timeline locking is helpful, and then the timeline comparison tool are all pretty cool. But all that said, we're not using it because we're still cutting in Final Cut 10 for all of our in-house content.
So the question I have, so when they talk about Avid in the bin locking and the fact that they say, quote unquote, two people can work on the same timeline at the same time, not to edit it, but whatever the way they do it, it still seems archaic that you have to call somebody, say, hey, can you unlock this bin or unlock this timeline or whatever they do? Or you have to go to the room. Why can't they put like a little intercom system or a little thing in the app itself?
Resolve does have that.
Yeah, Resolve does have that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a collaboration chat, and you can change the color of your icon and all of this other stuff. And, you know, to be fair for both Avid and Resolve, you don't always need that. That's only if somebody's in a bin and they're they've left for the day and forgot to get out of their bin, that you're like, hey, I need access.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean.
In a lot of working environments, that's not necessarily required all of the time. But yeah, I mean, it would be wise of Media Composer to have some sort of chat inside of it. But, you know, it's still based on code that's, 30 years old now? 20, 25, 30 years old, something like that.
Yeah, it seems so sneaker-ish.
I thought the bin locking came in the late 90s. But
but it sat on top of a lot of code that was older than that.
Right. The point being that you need a newer code base to be able to get collaborative chat to work properly in an application like that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I guess chat engines have been around since, 70s, 80s?
Yeah.
So, I mean, theoretically, they could add it. But
Internet relay chat.
Yeah.
The ancient times.
Send a Raven button.
Yeah.
Well, rather than the messaging, I mean, when I talk to Avid editors on Final Cut Pro Radio, and they're always telling me, oh, we have to call somebody, or we got to go to the next room and say, can you unlock this? I say, that seems bizarre that they haven't incorporated something else. Now, Alex Gallner says, Premiere has a collaborating messaging system, he thinks. Does anybody know about that?
To my knowledge, they do not. And we've done a good bit of testing in Premiere's collaboration because we support it
right
on a regular basis. So that I have seen, and I've seen a lot, no, there is not a collaborative chat feature within Premiere, but there is collaboration. There is shared project collaboration in Premiere that is very similar to bin locking inside of Avid.
And in the modern era, a lot of facilities are running a Slack layer over top of that stuff. So it's not really necessary. If you're running
messages.
Yeah, so there's other, you can go outside of the app and do that in today's modern computers. Pretty easy.
Wait, did Ryan just say he uses Instant Messenger?
Yeah, I am. No,
Yes.
I'm AIM, just AIM. What was the little hack, like POS for parent over shoulder to like mute, it's like producer over shoulder.
I POS means something else on the East Coast.
Oh.
Yeah, in Arizona too.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, Brad, what are you doing at NAB? You're not going to do anything this year. You're taking it easy because last year you had the sneak peek, right?
Yeah, I was just planning on hanging out by the pool and sipping on some Mai Tais and just relaxing the whole time. Actually, I've got 2 presentations that I'm going to be doing. The first is at Faster Together, and that'll be on Monday in the afternoon. And I'm actually working on the keynote. I was working right before this call in Apple Keynote on my presentation. And I'll be talking about kind of the logistics of how I took this idea and, went from concept to final product and how Final Cut Pro 10 was a part of that. So that'll be a fun presentation. It'll be about 15 minutes long. Patrick says if I go over, he's going to throw something at me.
Get the cane out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you want me to bring that taser from Arizona? Was that? Oh, never mind.
Now you know, Bill. Now you know.
And then actually it was kind of a back and forth sort of last minute thing, but I ended up snagging a spot at the Super Meet. So I have 10 minutes on stage to talk about the making of Off the Tracks, and I'm hoping to have some sort of inspirational things to say there on the Super Meet stage about how anybody can go out and make a movie because I just did it. And so that should be fun, but I'm really worried because there's going to be like Adobe, Avid, and Blackmagic people at the Super Meet, and I'm just very,
a lot.
I want to be very, very careful about what I say.
Hold on a second, Brad. Listen, having worked for decades with the National Speakers Association, because they're local here, and I talked to some of the. All you have to do is just pay attention to the people in the seats. There'll be 1,000 people in front of you, and you know what they all want? They all just want to learn something interesting. None of the rest of the people matter. Those people matter. If you have something interesting to tell those people in the seats, it will be a massive success.
Well, I'm just afraid of saying something that might offend, that that might be mean. So
I wouldn't worry too much about it. The people
the more you offend anybody, the crowd will love you more.
Yeah. And the people that are going to be offended are going to be offended regardless of what you say.
Right, they're all getting paid to be offended. We've been all offended.
No, but I'm really looking forward to that. That was a year ago. I'm not going to lie. I had the very probably egotistical thought of next year I'll be on the Super Meet stage, and hey, look, there I am. So there's the power of positive thinking, or arrogant thinking.
Yeah, you pulled off a really great project. It'll be absolutely fun, and people will love it. It'll look great too up on those big screens.
So Ryan, do you have anything coming out at NAB that you can talk about?
No, not at NAB. I just submitted some new stuff to FX Factory, and we're working on the tutorial now. It's nothing, not very sexy. It's just some stuff that kind of should already exist in Final Cut. Like, I guess I don't know who I have to ask to announce it, but like a image sequence importer, a GIF importer, and a vector graphics importer, because those don't come in comfortably in Final Cut, and a lot of times you have to do screen records or something like that. And but those should be, I think those should be released before NAB, but no, I'm not like.
I'm just curious. So another question, though. So Patrick, one of the things, you have a panel at Faster Together, a discussion about the state of the NLEs. But the one thing you don't tell anybody is who's representing what NLE. I hope Tony's representing Final Cut Pro.
Well,
I'm representing Avid, actually. No.
Oh. So this year, unlike last year we got people other than Scott Simmons who have very definitive lines. Well, no, that's not even true either.
Not
Because
Bill
all the
Davis.
bigger-
Hey, I was on it and I had a pretty direct bias.
Yeah. So this year we actually have mostly people with not any one direct bias. Tony kind of has a direct bias, but you know, the guy works in multiple applications, so he's going to be on stage. My buddy Vince Michelli is going to be there, and he was the first editor for TMZ, everybody's favorite show. And was working in Final Cut Classic for a long time, but also has done a lot of editorial in Avid. And he's not using Avid anymore for his personal projects, and you'll have to go to the State of the NLE panel to find out what he's using instead. Monica Daniel's going to be there. She uses various applications for various things, but works in TV, so she does a lot of Avid. And then Scott Simmons, you know, won't pledge allegiance to any single NLE, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
When I talk to Scott on Final Cut Pro Radio, I noticed that he'll take up whoever. If you're trashing Avid, he'll take up for Avid. If you're trashing Final Cut, he'll take up for Final Cut. If you're trashing Premiere, he'll stick up for that. So that's his attitude. If you want to trash something, he'll stick up for it.
Which is great. That's a good thing, because we tend to get siloed into our own little preferences, and it's nice that, you know, because they all work, right?
Yes, they all do.
They all cut a lot of content out there.
It's good to hear Scott's view, though. It really is good to hear his view.
Absolutely.
You know, he's not going to be biased to one side. He really give his true, honest opinion. So I like that.
Absolutely. So Tony, you're presenting, besides the panel, you're presenting, what else are you presenting on Faster Together? Something else?
So I'll be back to talk about Fusion, and we'll be talking about node stacking. And so I'm going to bring some Lego blocks, and we'll just, we'll practice stacking.
Awesome.
And then we'll break the blocks. Then we'll be on the state of an NLE panel. And I think this is another one as well. So it'll be fun-filled, exciting, crazy. Not in that order necessarily.
There you go.
Tony's also going to be on our business of editing panel. It'll be him, Sven Papa. Oh my gosh, who else? Alexa Han, who did visual effects on a few things that you might have seen in the theater recently. I can't believe I've forgotten who it is. I'll have to look on the list.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got and Adam Bedford. And Adam Bedford is the last person from Going Postal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So Adam Bedford, Sven Papa, Tony Gallardo, and Alexa Han. So that's our business of editing here.
So all of us everybody here is going to NAB, right?
I'm just gonna Skype in.
You just go.
You mean FaceTime on an iPad?
Holding an iPad.
Tony's crazy bold. He's going to do it through his iPhone.
Yeah, everything.
While he
Surely
jogs.
it's an iPad on one of those Segway things.
There you go.
Remote controller. Probably a better way to get across the show floor.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what? One of the places that I'll freelance at that has, it's an Avid shop. They have about 30, 40 seats of Avid, huge company, and they regularly have events, and they've got employees all across the United States. And you'll see that iPad with the Segway walking or just driving down, the hallway, and there's somebody in the remote. It's the weirdest thing in the world. So it does exist. It is strange.
That's Avid's version of asking somebody to lock the project so they can open it again.
There you go.
Send the Segway down the hallway.
Yes.
So Brad, Alex Gollner suggested, he said that Premiere folks would love to hear an anecdote or two about being with Randy Ublos, who also developed Premiere. when you're on the super meet stage, not at the Faster Together stage, with super meet stage.
I mean, I don't have a lot of time on the super meet stage,
Yeah,
so
he's
I'll
got
talk a little bit
15
about
minutes.
Randy.
You got 10 minutes.
No, I got 9 minutes according to Mike Horton. So
Right. Yeah.
And Mike runs a tight ship.
9 minutes maps to about a minute of brain time. That's, and you're in a big crowd thing like that. It goes really fast.
My anecdote for Premiere people is after we were done with the interview, I had mentioned to Randy that I got a freelance job that had to be cutting in Premiere, and he was just like, I could never do that. I could never go back to that. So there's my Premiere anecdote from Randy.
I don't think that's what I don't think that's
not
what Alex
approve.
means. Yeah,
I know. But I'm just saying, he's over it.
So we have Monday. We have Patrick is all day Fast Together on Monday. Is it all Final Cut Pro for Monday?
No, that is not the case. We've got Final Cut Pro 10:30, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock. But there are a few. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I might have missed one. Anyway, there are a few non-Final Cut 10 specific presentations. One we've got that we just got yesterday is going to be on 360 video in general. We have one that's going to be Atomos making a product announcement of some sort, and then Robbie Carmen and Patrick Inhofer coming and talking about Resolve. But other than that, yeah, it's all Final Cut 10. We've got Steve Martins coming to the stage, Fenwick's giving a presentation, Josh Beal, the editor of House of Cards and Counterpart, is going to talk about why he thinks Final Cut 10 should be used in Hollywood for television. And Mark Bach's going to talk about the art of HDR, color grading. And then we've got, I don't know if I can pronounce his name right. Broadly Olsen.
I think he's Swedish.
Yeah.
No,
Josh
Norwegian.
Norwegian.
Broadly.
Yeah.
And then Philip Hodgetts is going to be popping up at the very end of the day.
Excellent. And then after that first day, then Monday, then we go to the FCP Exchange, which is also in the South Hall. It's up in the area where Future Media Concepts has their classes, because from what I understand, Future Media Concepts donated that space to FCP Works, FCP Exchange, to put on this event.
Just to be careful for the people who might be watching this from the outside world, there are two places where that happens from Future Media Concepts. The one in the South Hall, which is where this is going to take place. There's also in the North Hall a major classroom pod where a lot of the Future Media Concepts stuff happens for NAB. So if you take the big 15-minute walk down to North Hall, you're going to the wrong place.
There you go. That's a good tip.
Yeah, this is on the bridge that goes over the road in South Hall. So if you're at the far south side, if you're near where Black Magic normally has their big space where Apple used to camp out, and then you're heading towards Central Hall, that if you stay inside the building and go up the escalators, there's a huge escalator in that main lobby that goes up. The meeting rooms we're talking about are right on that bridge that you come to first.
Right.
And then Patrick LumaForge is going to have sessions Tuesday all day and Wednesday all day. Yeah. But the Monday night thing, we go all day long to Faster Together. Then we go to, I'm just saying we, because I'm talking with Final Cut Pro people mainly. Then we go to the FCP Exchange event from 5 to 6:30, right? Mm-hmm. Apple Marketing is going to be there with another presentation. Now, this is my opinion. They've already presented at LACPUG in January. I don't think they're going to just do the same thing again at this event at the FCP Exchange. I think they have something additional or something new, perhaps, to tell us there. That's just my opinion. You guys have any opinion on that?
I think it'll be interesting to see what they've got, because that Post Without Limits, it's an hour and a half, and they've got 6 presentations to get through. So I can't imagine the Apple marketing one is going to be very long. So hopefully they're just giving us a sneak peek of whatever 10.4.1 is going to give us and then we can all go back to our hotel rooms and download it.
Well, there you go. That's what I mean. I do think it's time for everybody thinks it's time for an update to Final Cut Pro 10 for 4 months.
Yeah, it's too long.
Yeah, I think they're saving it up for NAB. I really do.
Yeah. Classically, Apple is very aware of when the world turns its attention to things that they participate in. So NAB being one of the premier show really worldwide for video type stuff, that would, I think, raise the likelihood that we'll hear something interesting. In the same way that, they did an Apple Education event in Chicago and released new stuff for that. They like to pull eyes when they're ready to announce something. It's just smart PR.
So Alex Gallner says it's going to be the Apple product marketing bug fix show. I don't think that's what they do. I don't think that's what they would be doing at a presentation.
Big bullet points of the bug fixes. And they're like,
well, come on, everyone, applaud. Pro 10 editors here. Is anybody having any major bug problems? Because I've been completely bug free for a while.
Well, not major. I mean, but some people think they're major. But I've seen a lot of different odds and ends of things that seem aggravating to people.
Yeah, this is millions of lines of code. There is always going to be stuff in there that doesn't quite work right. But I haven't heard anybody. I haven't heard the boards fulminating with all sorts of, oh my God, this is driving me nuts. More than the normal background chatter.
Alex says, quote, this is what Apple marketing is going to say. These are the 75 bugs we fixed in 10.4.1. Alex, they're not the Logic team, okay? The Logic team does that.
Or the Premiere team. Didn't they just come out with a huge long list of stuff that's not quite kosher in this release of Premiere? Or am I misreading that? I thought
no, they did a pre-release press release for what's coming at NAB. And along with the feature updates, there was a list of things that are in there but aren't quite ready. It's like, these things are there, but they don't quite work the way we wanted them to work. Which
really,
like, why not just leave them out?
So they should add a little piece at the bottom that says "now with hidden bugs."
We've uncovered our bugs in public, which is probably a good thing. I mean, listen, I've been saying for a long time, I think when Final Cut Pro 10 came out on the App Store and was a $2.99 download, I thought that was a shift in how everything worked in distribution of software, because suddenly a company could push a button and send not only the original product out to the market, but also send a bug fixed release or anything else. Distribution changed entirely. And now that everybody, particularly Premiere, maybe no, Avid's still got an online download thing, I'm sure. Now that that's the norm, I just think software development has changed. It is no longer a perfect for the golden master and then ship 1 million discs to warehouses. Now it's we found this, we can fix it. We've all agreed, it's signed off on, push the button, and everybody gets it. And that changes everything, in my opinion.
I have never been disappointed with Apple product marketing presentation. They are the top of the line. I mean, obviously they know the software the best, but they're excellent presenters, every one of them. And they always have. The thing is that I can't imagine them coming to NAB and just doing the same thing they did in January. That's why I suspect there's something new coming out, whatever it is.
Yeah, my opinion, and again, this is purely my personal opinion, is that I don't think, they're aware of an NAB, but you can get fooled because I think down deep in their DNA is that still, if we're working on something, make sure it's right. Make sure the thing.
My bet is they're going to be debuting emoticon workflow.
Emoticon? All smileys all the time.
And he's gone.
And he's gone. That was Sam Messman, everybody, from LumaForge, of course. Absolutely. So
that'll be built in chat. Sorry.
Yeah. One of the curious things this year, and Atomos, okay, they're presenting at the FCP Exchange, and they're presenting it Faster Together, and they're presenting at SuperMeet. Now, I'm not going to put Patrick on the spot whether he knows or doesn't know, but the FCP Exchange, from what I know, is always exclusively Final Cut Pro.
Okay, so I'll take another speculative jump here, knowing nothing. I'm under no NDAs because I have been informed of nothing. It
like
seems
Schultz.
Yeah, I know nothing. It seems to me that Apple has been doing hardware partnering more than it ever has before. That red package that they put in the Apple stores and other things. It would not shock me if in the future there's an Atomos bundling thing. Because remember, Apple's not just a computer and software. They're now a retail giant. They have a retail presence over the entire world. So with one agreement between Apple and a company that has a distribution network of their own, they can do these deals. And just from the time I spent in corporate, big companies like that, the question I heard the CEOs of the companies I work with asking more than anything else, this vendor come in and wants to get in our stores, can they scale? Can they scale up to the size that we need for them to service 1,000 stores across the country? And that would be something I could see happening.
Well, with Atomos, there's two areas where I can see them partnering with Apple. One is they have a recorder, right? So that recorder you can get metadata from that. So they could show off how metadata from their recorder comes into Final Cut Pro 10. And then the other area is they're making HDR preview displays. Maybe they've got something, some affordable solution for us to HDR grade on. That's just my wishful, hopeful thinking. Right. But those are the two areas where I see Final Cut and Atomos kind of being together. Anyone else got any thoughts on that?
Well, maybe they're coming out with an app besides hardware.
Something. The Atomos app for backup.
Something for Final Cut Pro. I mean, it may be for Premiere and stuff as well. But I'm just thinking, they've made an announcement. They have something game changing coming at NAB. Atomos has, but I'm just curious. They're at the FGP exchange, so it's got to have something to do with Final Cut at some level.
My guess is HDR.
My guess is that it's some sort of, how we've got our share destinations. My guess is it's some sort of share destination that will allow you to order pizza.
Yeah.
Ah.
Or it could be a drone that holds the monitor up for you. A drone that holds the monitor.
Right. Yes, an OLED flying display that goes on your camera top and then takes off and flies over to the producer. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, DJI is going to be there too at the FCP. DJI and Atomos, they're both. I'm curious as to what they're doing there.
I think you're onto something. It's got to be a drone that holds your monitor in place while you're on set. I think
right.
Instead of the old days of having the Segway, who does that anymore? Now we have drones.
Terrestrial. That's so old-fashioned.
That's so avid. If they sorted out the bug where the drone might decapitate people.
They're going to do lightweight polycomposite blades that are kid safe.
So Alex Garner said 1 year ago today, Apple said they will launch a Pro display and, of course, the new modular Mac Pro. What are the odds of them showing something like that at NAB anywhere?
Completely off topic, but I was in Costco yesterday and I saw their first big OLED display just out for consumers. So obviously the big OLED plants are ramping up enough to serve the whole world. It was, I think, $5,000, $4,500 or something like that, but it's out there.
Yeah, $1,500 OLED televisions.
Yeah, this was like 50 inches.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it. I thought I just read that they were not doing a Pro display anymore.
Oh, really?
But now I'm trying to find it.
Read that?
I know. That's what I'm saying. I shouldn't have said anything. But that's all on the screen.
So a year ago, not the most recent Creative Summit, but the one before that. No, when we went to Apple, they were showing all those LG displays, right? Mm-hmm. Those were the big ones when they had the multiple.
2 years ago, right?
2 years ago, right? Not last year, but the year before. So, and that has kind of quieted down. We don't hear much activity on that area.
Right. Well, we can be sure they got something to show us besides what they've already shown us prior.
Yeah. When I think of Atomos, I think of those on top of your camera monitor recorder combos.
Right. But see, that's what I'm saying. They said there's something, I think they used the word game changing. They're going to show it this year or something to that effect that Atomos has said. So it's not just another new version of that monitor screen recorder. It's got to be something else.
But if they did something, I don't, again, if they did something, you know, with a lot of flash memory in it that could record a couple of hours and had a really nice camera top monitor thing, I would think they would sell a bunch of that, particularly if it was able to maybe do a touchscreen favorite kind of thing that interacts, I don't know, with Final Cut. Who knows? Who knows? It's just
So
interesting.
are all you guys coming to the Guru Gathering after the FCP Exchange?
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
Everybody?
Sure.
Brian, Tony, excellent.
Yep.
We'll all be there.
Yeah, well, the problem with NAB, I don't know who said it, but there are too many days and not enough nights.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, amen to that.
That's very true. So after the FCP Exchange at 7 o'clock is the Final Cut Pro Guru Gathering. We're all going to be there. Of course. Mike Horton's going to be there this year, actually.
Yes.
And
Mike
Ripple
was-
Training.
No, he wasn't there last year.
No, he
Yeah,
hasn't
Mike-
been there for a while.
Trevor came last year, I think.
There
Mike's
you
son,
go.
Trevor.
Oh yeah,
Steve Martin.
Trevor did.
Yeah. And that's going to be a nice gathering. That's from 7 to 10 on Monday.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting trek between the end of the Monday night Apple thing, and I think we're a hotel and a half south of where we are at the LumaForge thing, or in that meeting room. So that's going to be a little bit of a walk, not a big one, a pretty small one, but still a bit of a walk.
Sorry. It'll we'll work up an appetite for the
Right.
the dinner we're getting at the Guru Gathering.
There you go.
Exactly. They emphasize it's not a sit-down, prime rib dinner, but it is food for dinner. So you don't have to stop anywhere on the way over.
So pro tip, bring a camp plate you can fold out that's 12 inches in diameter.
There you go.
Do that.
Maybe that's what Atomos is showing off beforehand.
There you
we'll all
go.
get, we'll all get camp trays to take to
The
the
combo
Guru.
recorder TV tray. I like it.
See?
Absolutely.
The pizza thing wasn't so far off the mark.
So Rob Mills says, do you guys know where any of the presentations will be shown? Well, I bet you Patrick can answer that.
Well, any of the LumaForge presentations will be shown on our YouTube channel. Now, that's fairly simple.
Can you tell us about YouTube? What is that?
Well, if you go to the internet and type in youtube.com,
You don't even have to type at all.
Slash also.
Yeah, if you go to your screen and say, I want to watch something, it'll magically appear. Google will hear, Alexa will hear you
Alexa
and toss you to YouTube automatically.
it's a little
Alex
crazy
Gollner,
how-
Alex says, go ahead, Patrick, sorry.
I was just saying it's crazy how true that is. You don't actually have to type anymore. But anyway.
Yeah.
Alex Gollner says, if someone puts me in an iPad riding a Segway, I'll get up early for the Guru Gathering. There you go. Hey, didn't the owner of the inventor of the Segway right off a cliff with
Yeah.
some of those? Yeah. Well, that's it for me. That's pretty bad marketing, I must say.
That's why I'm going for the drones.
I'm willing for a small stipend, Alex, to wear an iPad attached to my baseball cap and give you NAB telepresence for a small fee. And you don't have to pay it. I'll collect sometime when I'm in London.
Well, Alex is listed on the Meet the Gurus at the Guru Gathering, so he's got to be there at some point.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh. Who has an iPad Pro I can borrow for this? Something with enough bandwidth.
We
So,
can
Rob-
do it, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Rob, the presentations will be on YouTube usually a month or two. I guess they'll come out as Patrick or somebody else edits them. They're
Somebody else
multicam.
edits them, but yes.
Somebody else edits them.
And they may be a little bit faster this year based on what we're doing backstage.
It's very
Who knows?
true.
Yeah.
Who knows? A secret Bill Davis might have something in his pocket to help crank those out pretty quickly.
Bill is pretty tricky.
It's going to be an
Now,
interesting year.
I will be live streaming some stuff from interviews around the events, not the actual sessions themselves. But I think in the suite next door, people will be coming and going, and I'll do some live streaming from there so people can get a feel of how the you know, at what's happening at NAB and plus other places as well. So I will have that. My YouTube channel where you're at right now, Richard Taylor TV, youtube.com. Just subscribe there and you'll be notified when I go live. I'll be going live.
Cross your fingers and pray for Richard. Because internet bandwidth at NAB is one of the rarest beasts that is normally found.
Bill, you remember our trek last time you and I and Brad went through NAB?
Right.
I had internet the entire time on my cell phone.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. I streamed live the entire time. So hopefully it's at least I have the cell phone connection. So if I have that, that's what I'll be using. If I don't get a chance to stream live because of internet, I will do near live, which means I'll record them and then I'll put them up when I get a connection. So there will be, as we're going through NAB, there will be live streams of events at NAB. Interviews, though, behind the scenes type stuff. That's it. So Tuesday morning then, Patrick, what's happening Tuesday morning?
Oh my gosh. There's a lot happening Tuesday. 9:30 a.m. we start with Derek Rhodes from Vimeo, who you can see on our website. He's talking about Vimeo and Final Cut Pro 10, seamless workflow to host, collaborate, and distribute high-quality video. What that means exactly, I don't know, but we'll find out. Michael Kamas is going to come and probably say a bunch of stuff about apps that aren't Final Cut. At 10:30, Ronnie Curtins. I should ask him. He's actually just upstairs from here.
Ronnie, if you're watching, come on down.
Bring him down here? Well, okay, I can do that here in a second. But yeah, Ronnie's going to be giving a presentation. I'm not sure what he's talking about yet, but that should be exciting. Rachel Bogan's going to talk about how to make edits that matter. Cheryl Ottenritter is going to talk about mixes. Let's see, when's the next? 1:30, we've got Tani Galdardo.
Sounds very important. Wow. Sounds
yeah,
like
really important.
It's a good thing you're not emceeing, Patrick.
Yes.
Good thing we've got Fenwick doing the MC, yeah.
Oh, well.
You might have to MC for Fenwick, though. Who's going to MC for Fenwick?
You know, we might have Fenwick Seption.
He's gonna.
Here. I'm not entirely
He's gonna
sure.
do it himself. That's what he said. He'll do.
I'll
it
yell it
himself.
from the back of the room.
It's going to be a
Here's
Chris.
Let's see. Next Final Cut related stuff. Roger Bolton's going to talk about one of his apps. I forget the name of it, but it's the one that does
Transcriptive.
Yeah.
Oh, Scribe-O-Matic.
Scribe-O-Matic, sorry.
Oh,
I get them confused. I was getting them confused.
There's a lot of those apps now, isn't there?
And there are
Yeah.
quite a few. Keenan J. Mock from Light Iron is going to talk about archiving. Krista Michelli is going to talk about branding yourself at 3:30. 4 o'clock is the Thunderdome. I mean, sorry, the State of the NLE. And then 5 p.m. we've got Dan Duran from Red coming to talk about Red workflow and their IPP2 color space. And then I believe it's the Super Meet from there.
On Tuesday it is. It is indeed. Brad, I hope I can depend on you for rides again this year.
Yeah, you're staying further north now, aren't you?
No, the exact same place it was last year.
I thought you said you'd switched to hotels, that you're staying at the Mirage.
Oh, the Mirage is north?
Yeah, it's like further. It's a lot further north.
No, it's next. Well, this is what I was told. Well, we'll talk about it offline, but I thought it was right next door or the same. Bill, can you give them your room number and hotel so they can come? People can come stay with you.
Sure. No problem. Yeah.
For people that are homeless for while they're there, they can't afford a hotel.
I'll try to get you there in the morning. I don't know about the rest of the day.
Sven
I'll probably
drove
just
me around most of last year, and I'm not going to be doing that because I've got too many places I have to be. So hit him up and see if he and his buddy, if they're driving this year, will drive you around.
Well, I don't need it. I just if it's available. Otherwise, I'll just get you.
No,
Ubers
listen, that's one of the things about NAB that I absolutely adore. I wouldn't have spent like 2 days talking with Sven if it wasn't for the fact that we drove around a lot together. So you can make these, and I just really enjoyed that. He's a really good editor. He has that really cool web show. And so we had a lot to talk about. He was very interested in Final Cut. And I consider those just drive around. How do we get into the hotel parking lot is some of the best time I've spent at NAB.
There you go.
Way cooler than sometimes the show floor stuff.
So Rob Mills asks, Brad, any news on how we can watch the doc? What's the latest on that?
I will have some more information at NAB and the months following that. I kind of got the rug pulled out of, like, for months I'd been bugging distributors and nobody cared about my documentary. So when I made it live for the people, the Kickstarter people, I just made it live, and all of a sudden there's all this interest, and we actually did pretty good week of sales. But then, of course, that's when a distributor said, no, we want to help. I'm still negotiating things with them, and I may or may not take the deal. I want to do what gets the movie, whatever gets the movie out there the most is what I want to do. So, yeah, we will have an announcement at NAB related to that, though.
So Scott in the chat says, do you need a post-production world NAB pass to get into the Monday afternoon post without limits? Or an exhibit-only pass, is that good enough?
And I think
just you need a separate ticket. Free, but you need to go to the website and register.
I don't think it's free anymore.
Isn't it?
Actually, I think so. It wouldn't let me post the link, but if you search "Post Without Limits" NAB 2018, it'll send you to an Eventbrite.
Yeah, I think they need you to register so they know the room capacity and know when to shut it off. But it probably doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, what I'm looking at still says free.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good deal. Absolutely. So is everybody getting in on Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday early afternoon, I think.
Yep, me too. Sunday afternoon. Yeah.
Sunday.
And for those of you who are going to be there, if you want to get into something, this year I broke my exhibitor cherry thanks to you guys at LumaForge, because you put me on the exhibitor list because I have to help set up. So that means I have now attended NAB in every possible class of attendee. I have badges of all sorts of weird, different colored ribbons, and one of the little tricks I will say is that once you get signed up for one of the class of badges, you should protect that and try to get it over and over again. So I usually have a couple of different registrations going.
So
and in
that's
the past,
the NAB version of an EGOT?
Yeah, a little bit. It's the thing is, though, it's great because there's always somebody. And in the past couple of years, it's been like Mike Masdorf will come in for a day and he'll just say, does anybody have a badge? I just want to go to the show floor to hang out. So I find having an extra badge and say, here, go as me, just go, do something. And sometimes when people want to get into something like, oh God, I wish I could go see this one great demo, that having somebody that that has a higher level badge can be a nice thing, because you can just borrow it for a minute and go see that one thing you want to see. So I won't say any more than that because I don't want to upset the badge gods, but it's a strategy.
So one of the people you have, Patrick, I think it's on Wednesday. He was there last year.
Yeah.
One of the more popular presenters.
Oh, Sven Papa.
Well, he's popular as well, but I meant somebody else.
Alexis.
Someone from Light Iron, maybe, or
yeah, one from Light Iron.
No, Keenan J. Mock. He's on Tuesday.
No, keep trying.
About Michael.
The other Light Iron.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Michael? Is that who you're talking about?
Yes, I'm talking about Michael. How'd you snag him 2 years in a row?
I asked him, and he said yes.
What a strategy! Wow.
Did you Did you corner him at church, Patrick?
I did not. It was a simple email. Actually, I didn't email him directly, if I'm frank. I emailed.
Don't give away the secret.
His handler. But anyway, I emailed somebody at Light Iron and said, "Hey, is Michael available?" And I CC'd Michael, and somehow magically there was a yes. So it really does come down to, as Bill was pointing out, like just asking people and them saying either yes or no. You know? I
thought Michael's presentation. I thought Michael's presentation last year was spot on. I thought that was a great. It was an interesting thing because he was taking something that could have been perceived as very negative, and he had a nice positive spin. But still, I felt like he was putting pressure on Apple really, and trying to motivate the community to give us more, give us what we want.
Yes, he was. He said
great.
He said to do it in a positive, organized way rather than just noise.
Yeah, it was very solution-based with direction, and I like that.
And let me just spin that into when we all send in our bug fix requests and stuff like that to Apple. You know, they've gotten 10,000 people saying, "Hey, I'd like a roles-based audio mixer." The things that I would suspect interest them more than the 10,001st, "Hey, we like a roles-based audio mixer," is those times when you really do think outside the box a little and say, you know, it'd be really cool, even if they don't implement it. I would think that that's the kind of thing Chioni does exceptionally well. He's not a fan or not, but he's looking at a bigger picture. And he's saying, here's the kind of where the whole industry is moving. And so we should all think in these new ways. Don't get stuck with the tactics and the little stuff and the, oh, this annoys me. But the times when you think bigger, I would think that Apple is more interested in hearing those kind of voices. Everybody can figure out a mixer would be cool.
Yeah. So Patrick, what's the difference between Faster Together and the LumaForge workflow suite? Because they're next door to each other this time, right?
Yeah, they are next door to each other. So did any of you guys end up making it over to our place at the Encore last year?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike Horton was dancing there.
Yes.
By the way, Richard, did you ever make that GIF that you're supposed to send to Patrick of Mike Horton
I haven't made the GIF yet.
I think that needs to be an ad for the LumaForge after party. Is Mike Horton dancing, and then come to the LumaForge after party on Wednesday.
Well, we'll talk about that in 1 minute because there's something going on with that. So tell me about the workflow suite.
Yeah, so the workflow suite basically is the same as what we had at the Encore last year. So instead of having a hotel room, you know, that you have to go drive to, you can come in right next door to Faster Together, and you can test out various pieces of software. So if you wanted to test Resolve collaboration, Premiere collaboration, because I know that's exactly what you guys are most interested in. We'll have Final Cut somewhere, maybe on some of the computer. Okay, we'll have Final Cut on a lot of computers. So you can come and play with Final Cut and work off of some of our storage, and you know, talk to various people in the industry. You know, Richard, you and I had talked about previously how the Creative Summit, some of the best parts of the Creative Summit were just outside the presentation hall.
Yes.
Well, instead of having just an area out in the presentation, you know, right outside the presentation hall, we actually created a space where you've got the room where you can go and hang out with all of your friends and talk about whatever. And we happen to have computers that you can play with software as well. But, you know, it's really about being a gathering place for the Final Cut 10 community, for people in post-production who just want to get off the show floor, have a slightly quieter space to actually reunite and hang out with their friends. Yeah,
that's great. I'm so glad you guys are doing that. I mean, I think this year is even going to be better than last year, and I really enjoyed last year what LumaForge did there. So, but you're absolutely correct. I have more video that I'm going to put up, short clips this week, what's left of it from NAB last year, including in the hallway before the Faster Together stage. You haven't seen that. I haven't put it up yet.
Oh, so, cool.
And I have some more footage from the LumaForge party, but the party is you have to come to the workflow suite to find out where it is, right?
I believe that is the case. Yeah, we don't we don't have all of the details yet in terms of, I mean, time. We've got a time. Place, we've got mostly a place, but it might just be a mirage.
Well, it's going to be in Bill's room, right?
Yeah.
We're going to go to Bill's room.
Oh yeah, because I have a palatial suite.
I heard something about a pool.
Yeah, well, you can hear all sorts of things. They may or may not
bring your bathing suit is what I think I heard someone say.
Yeah, and make sure that you bring your own pizza because the Atomos pizza app's not quite ready yet. So
note taken.
Yeah,
and that's Wednesday night.
That's Wednesday night. I believe 7:30 is when we think things are going to get really off the ground, but you can be there as early as 7 to find out what room at what hotel. That's where you go to the workflow suite. The other thing about the workflow suite that I'd forgotten to mention is after every Faster Together presentation, instead of doing a Q&A in the Faster Together stage, we're actually going to move Q&A with the presenters into the workflow suite. So if you've got any questions for the presenter, you can go hang out with them inside the workflow suite and get those questions answered there.
Cool.
Great.
Hey, is anybody going to the colorist mixer other than me and Michael and a couple other people?
I'm registered.
You're registered?
Yeah, I think I have 1 or 2 other things at that time slot.
So that's Saturday night, and if anybody's going to be there, I'm trying to get a bunch of people together to take the high
Sunday
roller.
night?
Sunday night, I think.
Oh,
Sunday
Sunday
night,
night?
right?
Okay, yeah, Sunday night. Nah, I don't know. I'm so confused. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did Sunday, not Saturday. Saturday's too early. But I'd like to. I've stayed at the Link, and the High Roller is based at the Link, and I've always wanted to take the booze run around the big Ferris wheel. So if anybody's up for it, let me know.
So what do they do with the colorist mixer exactly? Since I'm not a colorist and I don't go to it, what exactly do they do? Just another party?
Basically, NAB, the entirety of Las Vegas is little clatches of people who are in industries getting together because they're all in Las Vegas. And so for people in the professional color grading communities, there's always a mixer for the colorists. And it's usually the Tower of Color guys, and who else does it? I can't remember, and I don't know enough about it. I've never been involved in that grouping. There's Ronnie.
Ronnie, hey, how you doing, Ronnie?
Hey, Ronnie.
Oh, Patrick, your hair
Fantastic,
got
my
gray.
friend.
There you
But
go.
you still have it.
Presenting from the LumaForge headquarters.
Excellent. We've talked maybe half a dozen times back and forth over the years, and this will be the first time I get to meet you at NAB. That's great.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this.
Yes, it's
I
true
haven't
for
been
all of us.
at NAB since I think 13 or 14 years. I've done, I think, 30 of them because I've been at NAB since I was like 20 or so, and I'm
Right.
16 now. So, but then I didn't go anymore for a long time. It's the first time I go back. Good. Will be interesting.
Absolutely.
So I arrived yesterday evening. I arrived here in LA. I'm going to stay here for a couple of days, and then we all travel to NAB, I think, during the weekend. And there's so much to do. There's going to be quite some interesting things to see, especially around Final Cut 10 at NAB. I think it's the first time there'll be so much to do around Final Cut 10.
And on the show floor, so we don't have to go to a separate facility.
Absolutely, Bill. Absolutely. That will be first. And yeah, I know there are like a million things behind the scenes going on. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So what are you presenting, Ronnie, for at Faster Together? What subject?
Well, they just took my my headshot, so I'm going to invent the title in a few minutes.
Good.
There's always something to talk about, you know. Yeah, I really don't know yet. I think in between now and 10 minutes I have to know because they need the title. So then I start writing it.
So when I first interviewed you on Final Cut Pro Radio, it's been years ago now.
Yeah.
You told me you were retiring.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't look like retirement.
No, it hasn't happened at all. I was going several times I've been thinking, but now, as you may have seen, anyone who's on my Facebook group, I've moved to the beach. I have a house and office at the beach now. I make long walks at the beach in the morning before I start working. I've quit smoking.
Bravo! Bravo!
Yeah, after 20 years.
Wow, that's
just vaping
difficult.
now.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And I started working full-time for LumaForge.
There you go.
Which I didn't think would happen, but, well, Sam, you know, he can be quite convincing.
Absolutely. Ronnie, are you doing any editing these days?
I just finished something for a museum, friends of mine, some sports things with loads of archive footage. I think we had around 6,000 items, clips, and I've made something for like an interactive thing that you play in a museum where you can select all the different topics.
Right.
That's something I did, but not so much anymore. No. What I do now is really start working on the new features in Final Cut, start to learn them, to work with them, so that I can give better feedback on what's not working yet, as we would like it to be. And
right.
So that's. But I'm still very much interested in Final Cut and in editing, yes. But I don't do it professionally anymore. I still have a small production company which is run by Noosh, my daughter, and. But I'm not really active in that anymore. LumaForge is growing so fast that I think they need me for Europe.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get them on the East Coast of the U.S.
No. Europe's too important to. There's so many marquee facilities over there, and there was less resistance than there was from the old entrenched U.S. operations.
I totally agree.
That you've
That's
done
probably what
job.
I'm going to talk about at the Fast to Get the Stage Wheel.
Good.
That's
Good.
Reasons why in Europe Final Cut 10 is big. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm still writing a couple of case studies right now while I'm here. It's amazing what people are doing with Final Cut over here and everywhere. You know, not only in the Nordics where they produce such amazing content, but also now in Southern Europe, Spain is becoming really big. France, Germany, we have people everywhere. And the UK is booming. I'm totally surprised that the same thing isn't happening where I am now in Los Angeles.
We're just a little weird that way.
Well, I think there's different things happening in LA.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm happy to be in this to be able to live these times where Final Cut, which was years ago, which was the ugly stepchild, and now is really big. It's really big, and actually, whenever someone says it's iMovie Pro, I say, well, that's a compliment. Because even iMovie is better than most of the other NLEs. No, I'm just kidding. But well, we're staying with Final Cut, and there's going to be lots of interesting meetings. There's a lot of stuff coming in next month as well that I can't talk about yet.
Well, I think it's very smart of LumaForge to have you here for NAB, because one of the things that in all my years of NAB, as Ronnie well knows, is that the whole world comes to Las Vegas for this. So it's not just the U.S. media enterprises, it's global players.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, I contacted lots of friends, and not all of them, but many of them are coming over.
Yes.
Even some people from Europe who don't come to IBC are at NAB.
Yeah.
So obviously Ronnie knows some stuff that the rest of us don't. So does everyone want to whip out Apple Pay and we'll figure out how much money, Ronnie, do you need in order to divulge some secrets?
No. Those days that I knew things that other people don't know are long gone. No. I know what I'm working on. Things that I'm going to write about, and project that I can't talk about yet, but nothing to do with Apple or with the.
Okay.
You know, I don't know anything about that.
Trails off.
I mean, NAB is going to be here, what, in 5 days now, 4 days? How did it sneak up on us so fast? It's incredible. It is early this year. Usually it's the second and third week, and this year it's earlier.
Yes, yes, it is. It is. It is.
Yeah,
but
it's a full weekend.
Wow. And there's so much. There's so much to do. I just came in and they said, "Do I have an agenda?" They said, "Yes, it's full." it's already filled.
So Alex Gollner in the chat says Faster Together Europe. Well, that's interesting because when I talked to Patrick last on Final Cut Pro Radio, he maybe said something about there's going to be an extended Faster Together presence perhaps going forward. He didn't say anything beyond that, but
yes. There are so many things that even go beyond what I understand. Final Cut Pro 10, we've launched the Final Cut Pro 10 tours. They were amazing. And we still get, I just got an email from Greece, got emails from everywhere in the world. Can we do a Final Cut 10 tour? What I'm really surprised of is that I get an email from a student who studies at one of the biggest global media institutions, and Athens. They're international, but she works in Athens, and she says, "Do you know that they only teach Final Cut 10 here?" And I didn't know that, and it's not the first time that this happens. People write us, and they say, "What, is that true?" That's more used than even I dare to think, and indeed we should be looking at merging these ideas from Final Cut 10 tour and Faster Together, and get a formula out there that travels around the world. Yeah.
Yes, that's a good idea. Absolutely.
Well, that actually somewhat relates with my documentary. The traffic that I got on my website that week was it was on sale was about 20,000 visitors, and 70% of the visitors were from other countries, not from the US.
There you go.
And it was, and I don't have, I'm like, okay, I need to do language localizations because there are a lot of people that are hungry for this information.
Oh, you know, I finally watched the whole film. I'm very happily surprised. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've told you my concerns where we met at IBC about the nature of such a documentary. And now I've seen it. You've done a wonderful job. It's absolutely as I would have liked to see it. Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on that, my friend.
You're here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Brad, what are you going to do next year at NAB? You've already last year and this year. This is it. What's next year?
I am planning on retiring, and I'm going to make some YouTube videos with my daughter.
There you go.
Digital can tell you, learn to waltz with your father.
I've got 2 or 3 ideas. We'll see which one sticks.
There you go.
Oh yeah, and as I said, there's going to be so much to do at NAB, and I just had a sneak preview of what they're doing here at LumaForge. It's the first time I'm in the lab here, and I was flabbergasted. The evolution that's shared systems, storage systems are going through is amazing. Yeah, I will be very happy to promote this, what I've seen here everywhere in the world.
So Ronnie, I presume you're going to be at the Guru Gathering?
Yeah, sure. Anywhere I can be, especially Final Cut 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Guru Gathering, also the
FCP Exchange.
FCP Exchange, absolutely, because I want to meet Carlos, you know, the guy who edited Despacito, the music video. I talked with him a lot, but I've never met him in person. So that would be, and I have a lot of respect for what guys like him are doing. So I would like to meet him. And I don't know if, maybe I shouldn't talk about that, but we were hoping that that Emily Walder and Ali from, you know, the Oscar-winning movie, The Silent Child, would be able to come over. I don't know. I have no information if they will be able to make it. I hope they will, because I'm releasing an article in a couple of days about the whole behind the scenes of The Silent Child, which is absolutely amazing, because that's a movie written by someone who has never written the script before. It has been produced with no money, and I mean a couple of $1,000s, and it has been edited by Emily Walder, who had never edited a movie before, who edited on Final Cut 10, and she learned Final Cut Pro 10 while working on the film.
And
it won an Oscar. And it won an Oscar.
Little process. That doesn't tell you the world of production is changing. Nothing ever will.
It's, yeah, and what's amazing, and I'm going to give you a preview of this. What they say is that she came from Final Cut 7, and she actually learned Final Cut 10 while doing the DIT during the shoot of this movie. And
wow.
Then they produced this thing, and now she's really excited about Final Cut 10, and she said, I never want to work with anything else anymore. And then I told her, oh, and have you used auditions? She said, no, what's that? Can you tell me what auditions are? It doesn't matter how you call them, what they are. You know, people, see, she just gets into it, and she produces this wonderfully edited film without ever having touched the application before. And I think that is one of the main reasons why Final Cut is so big, because it's used in really high-end productions that we have written about, but it also allows people who just have a great idea, who are talented, but don't have the funding, don't have all the structures, but to finish a product and win prizes. They've won nearly every short film prize that you can imagine, and an Oscar. Go figure, you know.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think Final Cut 10 is something that really, how you could say, that promotes, if you're talented, that's a thing you can learn very fast and show your talents without having to go through hoops and years of studying and whatnot. It's so accessible that anyone with talent can really start editing on it and produce something amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's the core of Final Cut 10.
So, Ronnie, anything else at NAB you're interested in besides IllumiForge and Final Cut? Anything else you're curious about?
I would have loved going on the floor, but I've seen my agenda. It's so full that I probably won't. You know, I've been back to IBC 3 years now, and I haven't even been on the floor these 3 years.
This year is going to be different, Ronnie. I have a big cardboard cutout of you we're going to put in there so that they think you're in the room, but you actually can leave.
There you go.
That would be great. No, there's going to be so much to do around 10 and around, you know, and I really want to meet everyone that I've met online but never in person. I want, you know, and that's more interesting for me than what's happening on the floor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you going to the Super Meet too?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There was no Super Meet at IBC this year, but that's why I'm coming over to see them at NAB. I hope there will be one again at IBC next year.
Michael seems to be pretty sure that he's going to be able to pull it off. It was just a venue problem.
I know, it was a venue problem. I know. I know the story. But I like the Super Meet for what it is. It's you know, it's a networking. It's meeting all those people, and it's fun. It's really fun to be there. It's just, you know, like, oh, you should come over to IBC, Bill. It's like our boat, you know, the boat trip we do every year with all
I was so bummed that we couldn't.
It's such an amazing thing. Yeah. And this year we said, if this boat sinks, this is the end of Final Cut Pro 10 and the Apple Pro apps as we know it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I can leverage last year's plane flight ticket, which I wasn't able to use, and they wouldn't entirely refund into this year again. We'll see.
But these things can be so much fun, and it's about meeting people and about talking. And I don't. Certainly, there would be things that would be interesting for me at NAB to see on the floor, but I don't know whether I really want to go over there. Anyway, I can read it. I can read it on any blog. I can read it online, what's happening, so I don't need to be there. No.
Well, since this year will be on the show floor, at least it's easier now if you want to take 10 minutes. If there's something you want to see, if, let's imagine that Sony comes out with some new camera that's the talk of the show floor and everybody's saying, oh my God, did you see that? Whatever. At least now it's easier to run over and take a look at what the hoo-ha is all about.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, that will be easier. Well, I'm going to see some people. We already have contacts. So many people who produce really great things with little effort, and that can add such a value to ingesting, organizing, copying, the workflows we promote, and that we're going to see, and who want to work with us, trying to integrate their softwares into the server. We're really working on things like that. Yeah. And those are people I'm going to see on the floor before the rest know.
Hey, look what I got.
I would be back at NAB and IBC with a big booth that we can, like we did years ago. Working on the Apple booth was fun.
Did I hear a Windows chime?
wasn't me. I don't allow windows in my house.
Is that why it's so
testing something behind Ronnie?
Hey, look what I got.
No, I see an Atom Studio here. I see mixers. I see red cameras, but no windows.
No windows. Final Cut Pro T-shirts. I have them available. You can go to fcpradio.com and look for them.
Cool. Have we covered the gamut?
I think we have. Anything else anybody want to talk about for NAB or Final Cut Pro in general?
I look forward to talking to thousands of people. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
Have a great time.
So bring your hand. What do they call that hand wash stuff?
Hand sanitizer.
Yeah, bring some of that in it. And then what about the fizzies that help you get rid of the goop? The any kind of colds or sneezing and stuff. Airborne.
Pre-born. Make sure you have a bar to eat, a little fruit bar or something to snack on, and some water.
Infomercial time. I've been using this stuff. It's all day long hand sanitizer. You put it on once in the morning, and it's supposed to protect you from handshake germs for the rest of the day. So there.
And if you call the next 10 minutes,
all that. Act now, and we'll throw in.
And I'm bringing an AeroPress, which I always do, so I can have when I get up in the morning before I see anybody.
All right, I'm going to have to give you my coffee cup overnight and have you mix. I mean, you've been talking about your coffee for 2 years.
I tell you what, Brad can come by and pick us all up, and then we'll go to Richard's place.
There you go. There you go.
I only have a Toyota Corolla, so that's going to look like a world country.
We can make it work. We'll figure it out. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
2 words: trailer hitch.
We're like jamming in all of the product name dropping. Like, these are all our sponsors, and we got to squeeze them in before wrapping up.
Absolutely.
All right, gentlemen, I got to bounce.
Okay, so we have Bill Davis, we have Bradley Olson, we have Matt Goddard, we have Ronnie Cortens, we have Ryan Wellborn, and we have Tony Gallardo. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time. I'll be live streaming from all over the place from NAB. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com. Richard Taylor TV is the best place to be subscribed. Thanks,
Cheers.
Everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.
And cut.